All right, guys, book, pencil eraser again, and we're going to get right to it. All right, lesson 11.3, make new three-dimensional shapes. We started working on this yesterday. And remember yesterday how you started out tracing dotted lines? Well, here we're saying a boy named Jeff made a new shape by putting a box on top of another box. You see the cube and the rectangular prism? Today, you guys are going to try to draw to copy that shape. So this can be a little tricky. Go slowly, think it through, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is here mostly to help us think about it. Here's the rectangle part of this rectangular prism, right? Here's the square part of the cube on top. Now let's take a look at this part. Do you see this? We're looking at two squares there, aren't we? But we're looking at them from the side, so they kind of slant back a little bit. So here are my three slanting back lines. And now I'm going to connect them. Do you see how it's not perfect? That's all right. Here's another square on the top, but again, we're looking at it from an angle, not straight on, so it's not quite exactly there. And then here, we've got that again, and we don't see this side of the prism, do we? Or that side of the cube. Now, do you see how mine is not exactly right and square? That's okay. We're drawing this to help us really start thinking about what these three-dimensional shapes look like. All right, I think the rest of this lesson is going to be easier now. Model and draw. Build, repeat, combine. Circle a new shape you can make. So take a look here, guys. We're getting a little more complicated than yesterday, but as long as you think this through, this won't be a problem. You could take these two cylinders, put them here, and put these two cubes on either side. But what you want to kind of try to imagine is, what if you actually treated these as if they were one thing? Here, you have to take them apart to make that, don't you? So what if instead of taking them apart, you took them and flipped them over? You could make either one of these if you flipped these, but if you said these are built now, and so now this is our new shape, you could do this because it's flipped. But you can't do this with this shape because you have to take this shape apart to make that. Does that difference make sense? So this is a little tricky. Take a look down here. I mean, it's not really tricky. It's more tricky to understand exactly what they want you to do. So here's what got built. If we were in the classroom and you could actually use those wooden pieces, that would be fabulous, but we're not, right? You could try doing this with your paper shapes. If we stuck this cone on top of this rectangular prism and we made a new shape, like we taped it together or we glued it together and this is our shape, if you had two of these, you couldn't make this, could you? Because one of these cones would need to get stuck onto that one there. But if you took this and you flipped it around, you could make this one. So this would be what you can actually make. Now, number 2 is not so tricky to figure out because look, cone and cube, cone, cube, but look, cone, cylinder, cone. Well, we know it's not that one. Number 2 is not so bad to figure out. Let's take a look at number 3. Number 3 has this rectangular prism, and stuck onto the short end of it, the square end, we have this cube. So over here, when you look at this, well, for these to actually be made out of this, we'd need these cubes to be over here, wouldn't we? And they're not. This one here is the one that has the cubes on the square end. So you could take more of these and you could make this, but you can't make this out of more of these. Next page. All right, I think you guys are getting the hang of this. Now take a look at this, build and repeat. Well, my goodness, if you had more of these, look at, here are 3 of these little cylinders. If you had 3 cylinders, how many little cones would you have? Well, you'd have 3 cones also. There's only 1 there, so that can't be that. Here's one that's maybe a tricky one, but imagine the blocks in the classroom. Here's a cylinder. Imagine you took one of those other rectangular prism blocks and you stuck it right next to it. That's what you've made. Again, we're imagining that these are like taped or glued together. So if you made more of these, you're not going to have that, right? Because these guys have to be stuck together. But here we have them stuck together, don't we? Oh goodness, I really wish we were in the classroom so you could use these shapes. But We're just going to have to really visualize and do our best imagining. All right, here's a tricky one. Here's a prism with a cube stuck on its long side. Now, let's trace around this and see what this part looks like here. Do you see that? In fact, I'm going to get my red marker, and I'm going to trace around it with red. Here we see it like that. Now, some of you guys might be flying through, you just know, and that's fine. I see that same shape again here, but I don't see it over here now, do I? Now, at first glance, this one doesn't look right, right? Because it looks like that one where you had the prism with the cube stuck on the end. But look, there are other ways you could fit it together. Just like that. Do you see that in there? So right here, it's kind of like you took this one and you turned it and slid it right over there. And then you took it, another one, and you turned it up this way and stuck it on top. Do you see how that went? So some of you guys, I know this is like super easy. For some of you, you might need to do a little harder thinking. All right, look at the shape. Now, pay attention. How many combo cubes are used to make that shape? Do you see that? This isn't just how many cubes, how many combo cubes. So take a look here. We've got this one here, and this one here. Some of you guys, I know, you just look at this and you know right away, that's fine. Now, how many individual cubes? Can you see that? We're still working with the same thing, but we're having to be kind of flexible in our thinking and in our seeing. All right, some of you guys knew this so fast and you're just waiting patiently for us. Thank you. Mid-chapter checkpoint. Circle the rectangular prisms. Draw a line under the shapes that have both flat and curved surfaces. So I'm going to tell you guys, right here, you're going to have one shape that's going to have nothing. You're going to have two shapes that will be circled, and you're going to have two shapes that will have lines underneath. All right, use three-dimensional shapes. Use your paper shapes if you can. Combine these, and which one would you make? Circle it. Which new shape could you make if you combined these? So this is just that, right? This is just that turned upside down. Which one of these is actually those two put together? All right, guys, I know some of you were going, oh my goodness, I don't really understand this. And some of you guys were probably going, oh my goodness, this is so easy. Why is this taking so long? Remember, some people's brains just pick up different things more easily and more quickly, and that's fine. All of us are a little bit different with the way our brains learn things. So if you were feeling really anxious right there, it's okay. Take a breath. You're going to get it. If you were thinking, oh my goodness, this is so easy. Why is it taking so long? It's okay. Take a breath. Be patient with your classmates. Either way, we're done with this one, and we'll get on to more of this next week.